Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's been buzzing across the crypto world, especially within the Pi network community, the ISO 2022 standard. What is it and what does it really mean for Pi? I'm Rohit, and I'm thrilled to be joined by our resident skeptic slash enthusiast, Henry, and our technical guru, Jake.
Thanks, Rohit. Skeptic/enthusiast is probably fair. I mean, we've all been hearing about Pi Network for a while now, and there's so much anticipation. But then you hear these big official-sounding terms like ISO 2022, and suddenly, it feels like we're back in a finance lecture. Can we break this down for the average person like me?
Absolutely, Henry. That's what I'm here for. Think of ISO 2022 as a universal language for financial messaging. Currently, different banks and financial institutions use various systems and formats to communicate transactional data, things like payments, securities, trade, card transactions. It's a bit like trying to run a global conversation where everyone's speaking a different dialect.
So, it's trying to standardize that communication, right? Make it so that a bank in New York can talk to a bank in Tokyo about a payment without any translation errors or delays, because they're all using the same agreed upon grammar and vocabulary for their data.
Precisely. It's a global standard for electronic data interchange between financial institutions. It provides a common, rich, and structured syntax for financial information, making cross-border payments, for instance, faster, more efficient, and more transparent. It's essentially the next generation of financial messaging.
Okay, I get the universal language part, but why are we talking about it in the context of Pi Network? Pi isn't exactly a traditional bank, right? It's a cryptocurrency, or at least it's aiming to be one. How do these two things connect?
That's the million-dollar question, Henry. The connection isn't direct in the sense that Pi Network is an ISO 2022 compliant system right now, but the crypto space as a whole is looking at how it can integrate with traditional finance. And ISO 2022 is becoming the gold standard for that integration, especially for instant payments and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies.
Exactly. While Pi Network is still in its enclosed mainnet phase, the broader financial world is shifting. Major players like Swift, which handles a massive volume of international payments, are migrating to ISO 2022. This means that any digital currency or network that wants to be relevant in the future of global finance will likely need to be compatible, or at least interoperable, with this standard. It's about future-proofing.
Future-proofing. So, if Pi eventually wants to be used for real-world transactions, for actual goods and services, it would need to speak this universal language to interact with existing financial systems.
That's a very good way to put it, Henry. Think about it. If Pi aims for widespread adoption and integration into daily commerce, it needs to be able to communicate seamlessly with banks, payment processors, and other financial entities. ISO 2022 compliance or compatibility would dramatically smooth that path, reducing friction for businesses and consumers alike.
And it's not just about simple payments. The standard allows for a much richer data set to be transmitted with each transaction. Imagine sending a payment where you can also embed invoice details, shipping information, or specific compliance data, all in a universally understood format. This level of detail makes reconciliation easier and fraud detection more robust. For a blockchain aiming for utility, that's a huge advantage.
So, we're talking about more than just sending Pi from one wallet to another. We're talking about like an Amazon transaction using Pi, where all the order details are included in the payment message.
Precisely, or even cross-border remittances, where currently fees are high and information is often lost or delayed. If Pi could integrate with or adapt to an ISO 2022 framework, it could become a very compelling option for these types of transactions. It opens up doors to massive institutional adoption, not just peer-to-peer.
And for Pi specifically, a key aspect of its vision is building a utility-driven ecosystem. If developers building apps on the Pi platform can leverage this kind of interoperability, it could drastically expand what Pi can be used for. Imagine IoT payments, microtransactions for services, or even more complex financial instruments. It elevates Pi from a mere digital token to a potential participant in the global financial infrastructure.
That sounds big, like really big. But is Pi Network actually doing anything with ISO 2022 compliant, or actively pursuing this certification? However, the discussions within the community often revolve around this because of its significance for any digital currency seeking mainstream adoption. The smart move for any aspiring global currency would be to at least consider this compatibility, even if it's not an immediate priority during the enclosed mainnet phase.
Exactly. While official announcements haven't been made regarding direct integration, the underlying principles of ISO 2022, structured data, clear messaging, interoperability, align very well with the goals of a blockchain network like Pi that aims for broad utility. If Pi's blockchain infrastructure is designed to be flexible and extensible, it could integrate such standards more easily down the line. It's about building a robust foundation that can adapt to future requirements.
So, it's more about how the Pi network could evolve to meet global standards, rather than an explicit current feature. What are the challenges for Pi, or any crypto, in adopting something like this?
Good question. One challenge is the inherent decentralization of many cryptocurrencies versus the more centralized nature of traditional financial institutions that drive ISO 2022 adoption. Bridging that gap requires careful design. Another is the technical lift. Implementing such a standard isn't trivial. It requires specific data schemas and messaging protocols. It's a significant development effort.
And it also touches on regulatory aspects. ISO 2022 helps with compliance and anti-money laundering AML efforts because of its rich data. For a crypto like Pi, embracing such standards could help build trust with regulators, which is absolutely vital for moving from a niche community to a global financial player.
That makes sense. Regulators are definitely watching crypto closely. If Pi can show it's taking steps to be responsible in that sense, it probably helps its case for wider acceptance.
Definitely. The rich data standard allows for comprehensive audit trails, better identification of transaction parties, and more effective screening for suspicious activities. These are all critical components for earning the trust of financial authorities and mainstream enterprises. It's a pathway to legitimacy in a very scrutinizing environment.
Let's pivot slightly. What does this potential future, where Pi is compatible with or influenced by ISO 2022, mean for the everyday pioneer? The person who's been diligently mining on their phone for years.
Yeah, like, am I going to wake up one day and my Pi balance is suddenly worth a lot more because of a boring financial standard?
Well, not directly overnight, Henry, but the potential long-term impact is significant. If Pi achieves this kind of interoperability, it vastly expands its utility and potential for adoption. More utility and broader adoption typically correlate with increased demand, which in turn can positively influence value. It means your Pi could potentially be used in a much wider array of commercial and financial contexts globally.
It's about the foundation for future growth. Think of it like this. If you build a house and you use universal electrical outlets and plumbing standards, it's easier for appliances and systems from anywhere in the world to connect and work. ISO 2022 provides that kind of universal plug-and-play for financial data. If Pi can be part of that, its ecosystem becomes much more powerful.
So, essentially, it's about making Pi ready for prime time in the global financial system. No more isolated crypto island, but a connected, functional part of the whole financial ocean.
That's a great analogy, Henry. It's about seamless integration. It could mean faster, cheaper, and more reliable cross-border transactions using Pi. It could mean businesses are more willing to accept Pi because it integrates cleanly with their existing accounting and financial systems. It removes a layer of complexity that often holds back crypto adoption.
And let's not forget the Pi network's unique approach, user accessibility, and mass adoption from the ground up. If they can merge that with robust, institutional-grade standards like ISO 2022, it's a very potent combination. You get the best of both worlds, ease of use for the individual, and the reliability and data integrity demanded by large organizations.
That's a pretty exciting thought. I've always seen the potential, but the how it would connect to the real financial world has always been a bit fuzzy for me. This ISO standard definitely clarifies some of that.
Indeed, while we wait for further developments from the Pi core team regarding their specific roadmap, understanding these broader shifts in financial technology gives us valuable context. It shows us the direction the entire industry is moving and where Pi, if it's ambitious, should also be looking.
Exactly. It underscores